How would you like to have a webinar funnel? Dan Henry is someone who came into our community a couple of years ago, didn't have a business at the time. I think he had just been done. He was like a pizza boy. He came in the internet marketing world, struggled a whole bunch of times, and eventually he created a webinar funnel and built a huge empire behind it. He's going to teach you guys today how to actually build out an entire webinar funnel, which is going to be really, really awesome. He'll teach you the strategy behind it, and then, as you probably know, we built his entire funnel for you. So there's a link down below. When you're done listening to Dan's training, understand the strategy behind his funnel, click on the link and it'll copy the entire funnel into your Clickfunnels account. And then from there, you can go and you can tweak his funnel and make it your own, which is really cool. So with that said, if you want to create a webinar funnel, I hope you enjoy this training from Mr. Dan Henry. And when we're done, install his funnel into your Clickfunnels account. Thanks so much. And let's put our hands together for Dan Henry.
In 2016, I got a letter from the IRS. And that letter said that I owed $250,000 in taxes. I had no idea how I was going to pay it. That same week, I saw an ad from a man named Russell Brunson. And he was giving away this book called .com Secrets. It seemed a little too good to be true. He was, kind of talking fast, and I didn't really know what to think of him. But I bought the book, paid the shipping, and I read the book. And I paid very close attention to the part about webinars. I thought, wow, that seems like it might work. And I thought, how crazy would it be if for the next 2 weeks, I just dedicated myself to giving this a shot, just giving it a shot. And so that's what I did. And 2 weeks later, I planned to do a webinar. And I thought it'd be great if I made $5,000, $10,000 on this webinar. That would be life-changing. And it would allow me to slowly chip away at that $250,000 IRS bill. 2 weeks later, I did that webinar. And after that webinar, I recorded a 42-second video and I posted it on Facebook. And I'd like to play that video for you now.
45 grand in a day. 45,000 in a day. 40, oh my God. 45 grand in a day. A fucking day. Here. A day. A day. 45 grand in a day. We've got 3,200 since midnight. 40 since midnight. That's in 24 hours. 45 grand. Like what the
We actually did $48,000 on that webinar. We did it a week later, and we did $52,000. Needless to say, that IRS bill got taken care of pretty quickly. But over the next several years, I deep dive into webinars and ended up doing over $30 million of my own products and services through webinars. And my intention here today is to cover as much as I can in the next 90 minutes about that and help you learn from what I learned so that you can do it faster. My name is Dan Henry. I'm the co-founder of CloseDeals.com, and I believe that the #1 expense in your business is lost sales. I also believe, and I learned from mentors like Alex Hormozy and Dr. Myron Golden, that it is a lot easier to sell a $10,000 product than a $1,000 product. It's even easier to sell a $50,000 product. And so I focused on high ticket, specifically high ticket webinars and everything in between, the sales process, building sales teams, everything I needed to build that kind of revenue. And I like to say, welcome to my talk, like most people say, but really it's welcome to my passion. I am fascinated with the idea of sales, especially high ticket sales. And so, unfortunately, I had to learn this passion the hard way. Years ago, it was a Sunday morning, and my wife was extremely angry with me. I had worked for 10 straight days trying to solve problems in my business, close deals, get it to the next level, and I hadn't spent a lot of time with my family. And that day, she said to me, Dan, there is a birthday party at 3 p.m. for one of our son's friends. Be ready to go by 3 p.m. Now, I had planned to do a webinar that next week, and I needed time to write the webinar because I needed to generate some extra cash in the business while I was still figuring this high ticket thing out. So I got up super early, and I thought, all right, I'm going to work on my webinar, and then I'll be ready to go by 3 p.m. I'll spend time with the wife and kid, and all will be right with the world. Well, as I started working on it, I got a message in my inbox, and it was from a prospective client. And he said, hey, Dan, I'm interested in your $30,000 package. And I thought, if I can close this person, I don't even have to do that webinar the next week. One sale, it would get everything I needed. We would be good to go on revenue. I could spend extra time with my family. And that was the beauty of high ticket. Unfortunately, I prioritized that. I spent 2 hours on the phone with that gentleman. And he says, okay, I'll call you back in 2 hours. I got to move some things around and see if I can do this. So I'm like, all right, okay, we'll talk in 2 hours. So I started working on my webinar thinking, well, in case he doesn't close, I better get this webinar done. Well, he gets back on the phone with me and he says, Dan, I've come to a decision. What did you decide? And he says, I'm in. And I was like, $30,000, I made the sale, I did it. Now I can just not even do that webinar next week. I can spend time with my family. I can start, being super dad and super husband. So I jumped in the shower, took a quick shower, threw on my shirt, almost ripped my socks, putting them on. I started running downstairs. I'm looking for my wife. Couldn't find her. That's odd. So I go downstairs and I'm looking for her. Can't find her. I'm like, she must already be in the car. So I go up to the garage door. I open the garage door. And the garage is empty. It was 3:15, 3:20. I'd let closing that deal get in the way of my plans for the day, and she had already left. And eventually, she left for good. It's not that I didn't want to make my family proud. I did. At the time, I just thought that progress would make them proud. But it wasn't progress they wanted, it was presence. And I did not know how to have progress and presence at the same time. I was still figuring out how to sell my products and services for more. And on top of that, every time I tried to hire somebody to sell it for me, I realized that nobody could sell me better than me, let alone trying to manage a team to do that so I could enjoy my life. Over the next 4 years, I promised myself I would do everything I could to learn how to have progress and presence. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on mentoring with people in this room, like my favorite mentor, Mr. Myron Golden over there. Love you, buddy. And I can tell you this. Today, I went from not knowing really how to charge more for my products and services to charging more than I ever have. I went from not understanding how to train salespeople to sell me better than me to having a sales team that can do just that. And I went from never being able to be present, even with myself, taking vacations, going off and enjoying my life, to taking more vacations than I ever had. And all I see on my phone, instead of problem after problem, is closed deal, closed deal, closed deal. I haven't taken a sales call in 2 years. Now you might ask, well, did the story end happy? Did you get your wife back? Did you get your marriage back? Even though we are best friends today, literally, no, there is no happy ending to that. Even though I figured that out, I did not get my marriage back. That story did not end happy. But here's what I can tell you. I don't know what your story is. But I hope with what I share over the next 90 minutes, whatever it is, page, 8-figure webinar funnel. It is only 3 pages. It only has to be 3 pages. I'm also gonna show how to create a high converting webinar. I'm gonna cover why people don't buy. Multiple reasons why people don't buy so that you and your salespeople can understand it, so that when you do book these calls from these webinars, you can actually close them. Sound good? Yes? Yes. All right. So first, my 3-page 8-figure webinar funnel. It is pretty simple. You have traffic, it goes to a landing page. Homework is you give them a lesson to come on to bring. We're going to teach you a sales lesson. It's a 3-minute sales lesson. All you have to do when you come on the call is done a webinar. You've written it out and you're thinking, man, this webinar is amazing. Oh, this is great. And then you do it, whether it's live or it's a